Quiz question. What animal requires an Eastern Gamagrass to complete its life cycle? This plant is an Eastern Gamagrass. What animal is it that cannot live, cannot survive without this plant? Do you give up yet? A Golden Byssus butterfly, or skipper. It's a skipper. It's a grass skipper. And I have been out with a very knowledgeable butterfly guy, pollinator guy this morning, learning all about this skipper and other skippers and other butterflies. And what I've learned is that this animal has a very unique life cycle. I wanted to share it with you because when we have a plant, we often don't realize the importance of a species of plants. Like, oh, who cares if we get rid of the Eastern Gamagrass plant, right? I mean, there's other ones, there's switchgrass and big bluestem. Surely they can fill the niche that you have. Surely we don't have to have gamagrass, but you've forgotten about that little Byssus skipper butterfly. And so I want to talk about what its life cycle is, which I found really intriguing. So right now, this is June 22nd. June 22nd, this little skipper butterfly is flying. It will fly for about 2 weeks. And that is the only adult butterflies that are going to fly of that species this entire year. Once we're done with that flight time, before we're done with that flight line, very important, we need to lay some eggs, right? So the butterfly goes down at the base of the Eastern Gamagrass plant and lays eggs. Those eggs hatch out, turn into caterpillars, larvae, if you like that term better, and they feed on the Eastern Gamagrass. This is where the requirement for this plant comes from. They have to have this plant. So they lay those eggs, the caterpillars hatch out of the eggs, they proceed to consume this Eastern Gamagrass plant, and then winter's coming on. And this butterfly, this caterpillar at that point, knows that it has to go into the ground in order to preserve itself. So it climbs down into the ground, burrows into the ground, spends the winter just hanging out down there. Come spring, it climbs back up out of the ground. It's still a caterpillar, and it proceeds to eat more, grow more, and then come, a couple weeks ago or so, it pupates, and then we're turning into a butterfly at that point. It flies for that 2 weeks, lays its eggs, and repeats the cycle all over again. Now there are others of these skipper butterflies. The Byssus is the one that is specific to this. So there's two broad groups of skippers, and one of those groups is the grass skippers. And they tell me that grass skippers, their population is on a real decline, and not really sure why. And one of the skippers that we were looking through the guidebook this morning with our skipper expert, and one of those that he had in there, he's like, yeah, this one's really rare. And I look over there and it's like, it eats big bluestem. And I'm like, big bluestem's just not that rare. There's things that are rare, royal catchfly, but big bluestem is not that rare. And so we don't exactly know why they are disappearing, but the grass skippers seem to be having a harder time of it. So there are other grass skippers as well. It's not just the one that likes this Eastern Gamagrass. There are others, and their population, again, seems to be in decline. But what happens is the ones that seem to be more rare are the ones that only have 1 or 2 generations that year. So maybe they come out, they lay their eggs last fall, they spend their winter in the ground, near the ground surface, something like that, and then they pupate during the spring. They make a generation. Maybe those eggs hatch out really quick, turn into caterpillars more quickly, and then into butterflies more quickly, more specifically. And then, so their life cycle is a lot shorter, and then they spend their 2 weeks. So you had mama and papa here, and you have the babies, and maybe that's the only 2 generations. So some of them do have 2 generations per summer. Some of them have multiple generations per summer, or flights of the butterflies. And so they have a very long flight season. So the ones that seem to be a little more rare are the ones that only have 1 or 2 broods or generations per summer. But they require different plants. They don't all like the Eastern Gamagrass. Some of them like the bluestems, or some of them don't care. It doesn't matter even if it's native or introduced. It's not as important to them what species of grass they have that they're eating on. So I find that there's a real beauty in nature, in the specificity, just in, this animal requires this plant in order to survive. And that is very, very common. When you start looking at the butterflies and the bees, and like there is a lot of specificity where something is required for something else to complete its life cycle. And so I think this is the beauty of the design in our grasslands, and I thought I would share it with you today. I'm Elizabeth with Hamilton Native Outpost. Thanks for joining me on my adventure with butterflies today.
We at Hamilton Native Outpost make these videos to share the unique knowledge that we have gained from over 40 years of working with native plants as we raise and sell native grass and wildflower seeds. If you found this video helpful, we need your help to get the message out. Please subscribe, share, like, and comment. It helps others to find us. Thank you.